A powerful alien race invades Earth, determined to enslave all of humanity and turn people into mindless slaves. At military headquarters, the team is desperately trying to reach Travante Cole, but every attempt fails. He boarded the alien mothership, and hasn't been heard from since. Meanwhile, in a hospital, another man is fighting for his life. A young woman sits by his bedside, eyes fixed on the monitors. Suddenly, his vitals crash, and at that exact moment, a massive alien ship comes hurtling down to Earth. 2 years later, a typical American family is hosting a get-together at their home. Their son is playing with astronaut action figures, Travante Cole and Casper Morrow. On TV, a report commemorates the victory over the aliens that took place 2 years ago. According to the broadcast, the two brave astronauts gave their lives to crash the mothership into Earth. Thanks to their sacrifice, humanity was able to return to some form of normalcy after the invasion. As the family enjoys a quiet evening together, the boy realizes his dog is missing. Assuming it just ran outside, the father heads into the backyard. But there, he hears something unsettling. Following the sound of the dog's whimpering, he discovers a terrifying alien creature. Frozen with fear, he tries to run, but it's too late. The monster drives its deadly spikes into him. At Portal Observation Center 11 in the Atlantic Ocean, two technicians suddenly pick up strange activity. They immediately report it. The portal appears to be reactivating. A commanding officer arrives and stations his troops around the site, ordering them to open fire at the first sign of alien life. But to everyone's shock, it's not an alien that emerges from the portal, it's Travante Cole, very much alive, after being presumed dead all this time. Meanwhile, in what used to be England, a young woman arrives for her art class, preparing for a gallery exhibition that's just 6 days away. After class, she grabs drinks at a bar with some friends. A sports match plays on the TV, and she's struck by how passionately the fans are cheering. The world may be in ruins, most countries destroyed, the survivors unsure of what flag they even live under, but that hasn't stopped people from rooting for their teams. Later, the young woman heads to the art exhibit with her boyfriend and friends to see her work on display. They're all impressed by her abstract painting, even if they're not quite sure what it represents. Noticing a crowd gathered around another piece, she walks over to see what the fuss is about. As she gets closer, she's stunned. The painting shows a man who looks strikingly like Casper, with an alien looming behind him. The image hits her hard, stirring painful memories from 2 years ago. Elsewhere, a man slowly regains consciousness, stirred by the beeping of monitors. He finds himself hooked up to numerous tubes, surrounded by medical equipment. The room looks like a hospital ward. With no doctors or nurses in sight, he pulls out the tubes himself and stands up. Spotting security cameras, he tries to figure out where he is by speaking to them. Suddenly, a food tray slides through a small door slot, and a man's voice encourages him to eat. But the man demands answers. He needs to know where he is. He suspects he might be on a ship, though that seems unlikely. Still, starving, he devours the food and water, while the voice continues questioning him. The interrogators want to make sure Travante hasn't forgotten who he is. After all, he spent time among the aliens, and they have the ability to get inside people's minds. Travante is furious. He insists that no one has tampered with his mind and demands to be released. Suddenly, he remembers Casper, only to be told that Casper died 2 years ago when the mothership crashed. Travante, too, was presumed dead. That's why they've kept him in isolation and are interrogating him, because they need to be absolutely sure it's really him, and not some alien trick. Meanwhile, at a bar, the news breaks. The fallen hero, Travante Cole, is alive and has returned to Earth. Jamila, who's there with her boyfriend and friends, hears the report. The news leaves her completely stunned. Back at headquarters, officials are furious. They have no idea how word about Cole got leaked to the media. The president contacts intelligence and gives a direct order. Release the man from isolation and present him to the public. They have 24 hours to confirm he poses no threat, and deliver him to the president's office. Travante dreams that he's wandering through the mothership with Casper. He wakes up suddenly, realizing that he's just had a dream about something incredibly important, and he needs to share it immediately. Pacing through his room, he shouts about his dream and its significance. A few minutes later, a man enters and asks him to follow. He leads the man to another room, puts neural sensors on his fingers and head, and is left alone. As soon as the worker leaves, Jack Hollander, the head of intelligence, and General Bryant enter. They conduct a polygraph interrogation to verify the truth of his statements. Travante has nothing to hide and recounts everything he remembers. In turn, he learns that the mothership was destroyed. The remaining hunter assassins retreat to that area to die. Very few are left, which is why attacks on humans have stopped. Earth has enjoyed peace for the past 2 years, but Travante isn't convinced. He knows he saw something on that ship and is certain the threat hasn't passed. The men, however, dismiss his concerns. They're confident in their control and in humanity's complete victory over the aliens. When the ship crashed, they located all 12 portals and isolated them. Over the 2 years, not a single portal showed any activity, except for the one time Travante appeared. The surviving hunter assassins retreated into the dead zone. After the crash, a poisoned area formed around the ship, which humans dub the dead zone. To back up their claims, they provide photos. As he studies the images, Travante insists again that he must remember everything that happened on the ship. He's convinced that humanity's future depends on it. The general acknowledges his concerns and promises to do everything possible to help him. But first, Travante must make a public appearance. To the public, he's a hero, and the news of his return has stirred excitement everywhere. At home, Jamila and her boyfriend watch the evening news. They report that Travante Cole will make his first public statement at the headquarters in America and will receive the nation's highest honor, the Medal of Honor. Her boyfriend immediately suggests she call some contacts at the WDC to get tickets, but Jamila doesn't want to go. Achieving inner peace had come at too high a cost. She's tried to forget the past and doesn't want to reopen old wounds. Her boyfriend thinks differently. She often has nightmares, and he believes seeing Travante might finally answer her questions and help her let go. She won't be able to live fully in the present while the past still haunts her. Late at night, after her boyfriend falls asleep, Jamila retrieves an old notebook from her secret stash. Between the pages is a drawing of her face, sketched by Casper. Nearby is a printout of chaotic Eeg lines, the recording of the very moment his heart stopped. She relives those times, the doctors struggling in vain to save his life, being told there was nothing more they could do, and the first time she kissed Casper. Over time, a crowd gathers to watch Travante's speech. They cheer genuinely at the return of their idol. Meanwhile, Hollander quietly shares his suspicions with the soldier. Unlike the crowd in the hall, he doesn't see a hero, only a survivor. He's read Travante's file and noticed a pattern. This isn't the first time Travante is sent on missions with partners, only to come back alone. The same thing happened in Afghanistan, and now it is repeated with Casper. These words stir old memories for the soldier. At that moment, the president announces Travante, and he steps into the hall. He begins reading his speech from the teleprompter, but when Casper's name appears, he falters. His voice trails off as he struggles to recall the words his fallen partner once spoke. Unexpectedly, a voice from the crowd finishes the sentence for him. Squinting into the audience, he recognizes Jamila and makes his way toward her. Meeting in the center of the hall, he embraces her and apologizes for not being able to save Casper. After the speech, Travante and Jamila meet in his office. She opens up about her nightmares and begs him to tell her what really happened to Casper. If she can get answers, the uncertainty that has haunted her might finally end. But Travante has nothing to share. He doesn't remember what happened himself. Frustrated, she turns to leave, but before going, she hands him a small sheet of paper. On the other hand, Travante notices the cardiogram recorded at the moment of Casper's death. The jagged lines spark a flood of memories from the mothership. Leaving Jamila in the room, he rushes to find the general to relay this vital information. When he finds General Brand, he reports seeing a new type of alien on the ship. This explains why he was certain the threat hadn't vanished. But the general dismisses his claim, confident that whatever it was is dead, just like the ship. Cameras haven't detected any activity anywhere for some time. Realizing that nothing he says will be taken seriously, Travante decides to feign agreement and pretend it was all a hallucination. He leaves the headquarters quietly, careful not to raise suspicion. Meanwhile, Jamila says goodbye to her boyfriend. She needs answers, and they are only in Travante's mind. She doesn't want to drag anyone else into her nightmares. This path she must face alone. Her boyfriend understands and promises to help in any way he can. She must follow the soldier, and he will cover for her. In one of the corridors, Jamila manages to catch up with the man. She offers her help, but he refuses and insists she leave. Suddenly, the lights ahead begin to flicker, and the soldier is struck by a seizure. Jamila immediately rushes to his side, but at that moment, two soldiers appear and grab them. After fending off the unknown attackers, Jamila persuades Travante to accept her help. He has no car and can't even get out of the building on his own. Realizing he has no other choice, he reluctantly agrees. Once they're outside, Jamila asks what their plan is and reaches for her phone. In an instant, Travante snatches it from her and throws it out the window. She can't use her phone anymore, it could be tracked, and if she's decided to help, she'll have to stay hidden at all times, leaving her friends behind. As they descend the stairs, Hollander learns that his men have lost track of Travante. He orders all roads blocked and declares the fugitive must be caught. From this moment on, Travante is no longer a hero, he's the most wanted man in the world. In the Hida Mountains of former central Japan, a young woman hunts rabbits with a hand crossbow. She then heads to a river to catch fish, where she notices a silver chain glinting in the water. After finishing her hunt, she takes a rabbit to one of the nearby homes and trades it for a basket of vegetables. As she's about to leave, a young girl stops her. Approaching the woman, Sayo receives a gift, the silver chain she had found in the river. Back at home, the woman checks and disarms all the traps she had set before leaving. Lighting candles, she sits at the table and writes in her journal about giving the chain to Sayo. Since arriving in this area, the girl and her grandfather had been the only people she'd spoken to. Later, as she begins cooking, a strange sound fills the air. It quickly grows louder, causing her to clutch her head in pain, and then she loses consciousness. Some time later, she comes to. Once standing, she immediately grabs her journal and writes down the details of the mysterious noise. Reviewing her notes, she realizes she needs to find out what's happening. She pulls out her laptop and, using an encrypted code, logs onto the internet, learning about the return of Travante Cole. To uncover more about him, she hacks into the WDC database. Comparing the timing of his arrival with the moment she first heard the noise, she realizes the two events happened simultaneously, and it can't be a coincidence. Lost in thought, she doesn't immediately notice the countdown timer reaching 0. She's been discovered. At WDC, an employee notices the breach. Judging by the data, the hacker appears to be Yamato Mitsuki. She immediately reports it to Director Byrne, explaining that they are trying to trace the source of the hack, but so far, with no success. East Antarctic ice sheet. A man arrives at the site of crashed alien ship number 5. One of the scientists suggests he put on a protective suit, since they aren't sure if the area is safe for humans, but he ignores the warning. As he approaches the ship, he notices it glowing with a strange light. Back in the lab, Kapura learns that the ship's core has begun emitting gamma and X-rays, and that the polarization level has reached an unprecedented intensity. But he doesn't care. What matters to him is keeping the extraction of valuable materials going. When he sees that the chief chemist disagrees, Kapura fires him and replaces him with a woman standing nearby, someone willing to say whatever the management wants. Kapura's assistant interrupts his discussion with the chemist to deliver an urgent call. Retreating to a private lab room, he answers a video call from Regan Byrne. She tells him that Mitsuki has returned. She hacked the WDC database and was detected. It took them 48 hours to locate her, and since she used to work for him, she might be willing to make contact. Kapura refuses, claiming he's too busy. Regan then explains the strange behavior of the hunter-killers. The data came in 3 days ago, and that Yamato had hacked their database the next day. They just need to talk to the girl. Nikhil agrees to help, though he knows Mitsuki won't be happy to see him. Nikhil and his assistants head to the designated location, where they find Sai's house and her grandfather. Before leaving the car, Nikhil orders everyone to leave their weapons behind, not wanting to risk Yamato's life if she tries to run. Approaching the house, he asks the grandfather if he's seen Mitsuki and shows him a photo. The man pretends he doesn't know her. Realizing he's lying, Kapura pushes him aside and enters the house, where he finds a toy labeled with the fugitive's name. Sensing danger, the girl rushes to Yamato to warn her that they've come. Seeing Nikhil, she decides to flee into the forest, but it's too late. She's already been spotted. Kapura's men give chase. In the forest, she manages to take down 3 pursuers with her crossbow. Believing she's eliminated all threats, she doesn't notice a 4th man, who attacks. During the struggle, she knocks him out and escapes. At that moment, her phone rings. She picks it up, sees a message from Nikhil, and decides to trick him. She pretends his men have captured her and lures him into the forest. There, he finds one of his men unconscious and a phone with a message. He immediately realizes the girl has hidden herself in the Vishnu temple. When she arrives, she finds Yamato. Aiming her crossbow at him, she demands an explanation for why the hunt on her began. She needs solitude. She's been doing everything possible to stay away from both humans and aliens. Smirking, Kapura explains that by hacking the database, she drew attention to herself, and they just want to talk. He promises nothing will be done to her, but the girl no longer trusts the WDC, not after they operated on her brain in their labs. No promise matters anymore. Nikhil tries to explain the organization's motives. When she returned after contact with the aliens, her brain had started to resemble theirs. They needed to conduct research to save the world. Mitsuki doesn't agree with such methods. She isn't the only one who's made contact. At that moment, she begins to hear a noise that grows louder by the second. Clutching her head, she loses consciousness again. The man immediately tries to revive her, and after some time, he succeeds. Once he's sure she's okay, he decides to leave her alone. Back in the car, Nikhil calls Byrne, telling him that he's no longer going to run errands for her. If she wants Mitsuki, she'll have to find a way to reach her herself. In Mie Prefecture, former Japan, Kaede is hunting down hunter-killers. She manages to shoot one, but at that moment her phone rings. It's Hollander, ordering her to find Mitsuki. Returning from the forest to the girl's house, Yamato decides not to put the family at risk anymore and says goodbye. Her decision is supported by the grandfather, who insists they be left alone. Casting one last glance at them, she leaves. Mitsuki heads to Kanazawa, also in former Japan, where she finds her friend Ame. Ame is delighted and surprised. They haven't seen each other in 2 years. After a warm greeting, Mitsuki asks about Kenji, wondering if he's been by. She learns he's at home, having arrived 2 days earlier, barely able to stand. Approaching him, Yamato hears him say that he's starting to sense the aliens again, hearing strange noises. It began when Travante returned, and miners later discovered hunter-killers in the cave. After some time, they broke free, and he went searching for them. Eventually, he found them and decided to get closer, trying to make contact, but a sharp pain pierced his head, and he noticed a pattern of deep scratches on his hand. After talking with Kenji, the women moved to another room to have dinner. From his story, Mitsuki realizes the aliens are transmitting a new kind of signal to each other. Kenji received a message, but it overwhelmed him. Now she knows what she must do. She needs to find an alien and figure out what the message means. She can decode the signal. She has the strength to do it. Lost in thought, she takes a star from her jewelry box. When Ame notices, Mitsuki is holding it tightly. She still doesn't remember what it means or why it's so important to her. Looking at her, Ame advises following her heart and trusting her instincts. At that moment, Mitsuki hears the sound of approaching vehicles. Looking out the window, she realizes it's the Celestial Watch, and she needs to hide. As soon as Mitsuki disappears, a knock sounds at Ame's door. It's Agent Kaede, who reports that the girl thereafter should be in this house. Street cameras had caught her entering, but Ame acts as if she's never seen her. Sitting in the attic, Yamato realizes they need to do something. Too many signs point to the girl being there. A dinner set for two, a jewelry box left on the table. When she sees that Kaede has found Kenji and learned about his connection to the aliens, the girl decides to act. Finding fuel cans on the roof, she pours them over the agent's car and sets it on fire. The blaze draws the patrol's attention, and when they rush outside, they see their car engulfed in flames. Kaede flies into a rage, realizing that Mitsuki has probably already escaped and there's nothing more they can do here. Once the agents leave, the girl returns to Ame, who hands her the keys to a moped. After witnessing the chaos, Yamato advises her friend to get out of town. Now that the agents know about Kenji's connection to the aliens, they won't leave them alone. Before parting, Ame tells the girl that the Celestial Watch can track aliens, and even unknowingly, they could help her. After searching the area, Kaede contacts Hollander and reports that they couldn't find Mitsuki. He's furious and suggests taking more aggressive action. Meanwhile, other agents detect Yamato online. She's back in contact, and they've intercepted her signal. According to the map, she's not far, apparently attempting to hack the agency's base again. Arriving on the scene, they storm a cafe and find a girl with a laptop, but it's not Mitsuki. On the table, they discover a tracker attached with a little hello from her. She set a trap. While the agents are distracted by the trap, the girl sneaks into their hotel room to study alien materials. She discovers the location of the nearest alien cluster, but can't get any further information. As soon as the agents realize they've been tricked, they rush back to the hotel. Hearing the door open, Mitsuki slips away immediately. When Kaede bursts into the room, she finds the computer still running and realizes they've lost Yamato again, but now they know what she's looking for and where she's headed next. After escaping the hotel, Mitsuki heads toward the restricted zone. She climbs over the fence, enters the building, and approaches a shaft. Peering inside, she hears the unmistakable sounds made by the aliens. Gathering her courage, she climbs into the shaft and begins descending. Halfway down, Yamato realizes that Kaede has tracked her and is now in pursuit. Not wanting to fall into their hands, she fights desperately to keep going. At one point, she hears a horrifying noise again and loses consciousness. When she comes to at the bottom of the shaft, Mitsuki finds the bodies of Kaede and the other agents nearby. Moments later, a hunter-killer appears in her field of vision, reaching its limbs toward her. Seeing that the creature doesn't harm her, Yamato whispers the word, signal. Emerging from the shaft, Mitsuki travels to Northern California and arrives at a mansion. A party is in full swing inside. Upon entering, she receives a note inviting her upstairs. Following the instructions, she finds Nikhil on the upper floor. She's far from happy about the encounter, but she needs to share what she's learned. She managed to establish contact with the aliens and received a message. They are rising. She couldn't determine exactly who they meant, but she's confident she can find out. For that, she needs Nikhil. He promised his help during their last meeting, and she's ready to accept it. In Boise, Idaho, formerly the USA, a neighborhood festival is taking place. People are laughing, walking around, and enjoying themselves. One woman notices that a year ago, when they first moved to the city, there weren't any events like this. Hugging her husband, she joyfully dances to a song played by a local band. Later, she goes inside with her daughter to grab more juice. While in the house, she talks to the girl, advising her not to rush growing up. She still has her whole life ahead and plenty of time to achieve everything she wants. Their conversation is interrupted by a knock at the door. When she opens it, she's startled to see Travante and Jamila standing there. The girl steps outside to watch the other children playing while the family greets their guests. Travante is very curious about the boy's abilities. What the boy did 2 years ago, Travante had only ever seen once. Casper Moro had done the same thing. He could get inside the minds of aliens. Given the boy's abilities, Travante hopes he might be able to help. Perhaps seeing one specific thing could trigger the boy's memory and reveal answers they couldn't get otherwise. The parents are hesitant, not thrilled that their son is being drawn into alien matters again, but they let Luke decide for himself. When he agrees, Travante hands him a copy of Casper's Eeg taken at the moment of his death, but he doesn't explain anything to Luke. Instead, he seems much more intrigued by the woman. As a doctor, she finds it absurd and can't understand how WDC physicians could have concluded it was an epileptic seizure. Jamila agrees, doubting it was a seizure and suspecting that the real cause of death was deliberately hidden. Travante is frustrated that they've learned nothing. At that moment, the father suggests they go to his office to show them something. There, he shares data on portals that have been leaked online by someone called Infinitas. The forum is full of posts from people reporting alien activity and sharing various information. One of the leaked files contains a pattern of frequencies emitted by all the portals about 3 minutes before Travante's return, and it matches Casper's Eeg almost exactly. While Travante studies the cardiogram, Jamila finds information on the forum about an upcoming meeting of Infinitas followers. It's happening in Baker City, only a 2-hour drive from them. Travante decides they need to go, but Jamila tries to dissuade him. After the ship crash, several extremist groups formed, and these people could be dangerous. He ignores her warning, confident he can take care of his own safety. They decide to spend the night at a motel and head to the meeting in the morning. After saying goodbye to the family, Travante and Jamila leave the house. That evening, the woman decides to talk with her husband. Earlier, they had agreed with Clark to stay away from anything connected to aliens, but now it turns out he's been browsing a forum. He reassures her that he doesn't intend to dive back into it or make contact with anyone. He just wants to stay informed so he can feel more at ease. At the motel, Jamila wakes up to a strange noise coming from the neighboring room. Struggling to open the door, she finds the room in disarray and Travante in a visibly distressed state. She offers to share his burden, hoping she might help, but he refuses, saying there's nothing she can do and that she shouldn't try to get into his head. He never wanted to bring her along. She doesn't belong on these trips. His words trigger a surge of anger in Jamila, and she storms back to her room. Unable to sleep after her conversation with her husband, the woman goes down to the kitchen. There she finds Luke sitting at the table. Talking with her son, she learns that he's hearing the aliens again, and that the Eeg image has already appeared in his mind. He had lied to Travante to keep things normal, convinced it was just his imagination, at least until today. She comforts Luke, promising him that they will figure everything out. Before he goes back to bed, she asks him to keep the conversation between them and not to tell his father. After hearing her son's confession, the woman decides to take action. The next morning, she goes to the motel and offers to go to Baker City with Travante. She knows the area and can help him stay under the radar. It's important for her to understand what's happening herself, without involving the family. While Travante packs, she talks with the now awake Jamila. The girl tells her about the incident with Travante during the night and asks for advice on helping a soldier cope with PTSD. Their conversation is interrupted by Travante, who informs Jamila that she'll stay at the motel. She refuses to accept this and insists on coming along. Relenting to her persistence, he agrees and tells her to pack her things. As she heads to her room, he locks the door behind her. Stepping outside, he tells the woman that they will go to Baker City together, just the two of them. Meanwhile, Mitsuki and Nikhil arrive at Portal Base 11 in the Atlantic Ocean. Once aboard the ship, they use the man's contacts to arrange for one of the soldiers to guide them to the right location. Meanwhile, Travante and his friend arrive at the meeting spot for the Infinitas followers. Seeing the weapons, they realize these people are far from peaceful fanatics. As they enter the building, they carefully look around and notice armed guards at the entrance checking everyone. After successfully passing the security check, they move further inside and spot stalls with weapons, books, and pamphlets calling for the arrest and imprisonment of people who can sense aliens, like her son. Travante examines the weapons and tries to strike up a conversation with a vendor. Suddenly, a few people recognize him. They loudly announce who he is, and the crowd instantly erupts in anger, attacking him. They believe he works for the WDC and consider him a traitor. Miraculously escaping the mob, he bursts outside, where his partner immediately pulls up in a car. Once inside, he learns that neither of them has been able to uncover any useful information. On the way home, Anisha reveals that Luke lied. He can still hear aliens. Before Travante arrived, he had seen that Eeg but hadn't told anyone. She feels she must find out what's going on. Travante understands her completely, knows what she's been through, and knows she must stay away from aliens and protect her son. He asks her to pull over, let him out, and forget he ever appeared in her life. At that moment, Anisha receives a message from Infinitas with the coordinates for a new meeting. Seeing that it's only a couple of hours away, she decides to go. At the portal base, Mitsuki and Nikhil reach the main computers. Mitsuki hacks the security and starts downloading all data from the past 2 weeks, but it takes time. Nikhil grows anxious. They're under tight time pressure, and there's no room for mistakes. Suddenly, they hear a noise and duck under the console. Luckily, the guards don't notice them, but Mitsuki suffers a new seizure. Once the soldiers leave, Nikhil asks her to describe what she feels. After a moment, Yamato looks at the portal and says something is getting stronger. Anisha and Travante arrive at the coordinates. It's a multi-level parking garage. Pulling up to the designated spot, they notice a car approaching. Behind the wheel is a woman named Debbie. She asks them to leave their phones in the car, saying she will take them to the final location herself. After a moment of thought, the pair agree and get in. After a while, Debbie drops them off in front of a house and drives away. When Trev and Anisha enter the house, they are met by a crowd. The people aren't exactly happy to see Trev, believing he works for the WDC, but he quickly denies it. He explains that the WDC is after him, and clearly not to commend him for a job well done. The group agrees to hear them out before deciding whether they can be trusted. To their surprise, Trev and Anisha have nothing to report. They came to ask questions. Anisha shows them an Eeg image and asks if they know anything about it. After exchanging glances, two men bring over a laptop. It turns out it's not a cardiogram at all, it's a sound. The signal had reached the WDC communication station years ago, when the hunter-killers first appeared. One of the men plays the sound, and Travante immediately grabs his head in pain. The signal transports him to the mothership, where he sees a strange blue wall covered in slime and some creature behind it. While Trev relives these memories, the FBI bursts into the house. They immediately arrest him and then detain everyone else present. At the portal base, Mitsuki is nearly done copying the files, with only 4% remaining, when security storms in. She quickly grabs the flash drive and hides it in her pocket. Nikhil tries to reason with the soldiers, explaining that he's there legally, but they ignore him. At that moment, Yamato's head explodes with pain. She screams, urging everyone to run. Something is trying to break through the portal's sealed hatch. The guards shift their attention to the hatch, and moments later, enormous tentacles burst out. The men open fire, but it's useless. The tentacles kill several people, and Mitsuki loses consciousness. Seeing the severity of the situation, Nikhil grabs Yamato's unconscious body and carries her to another room, away from the creature. Back at Anisha's house, a breaking news alert flashes on the TV. Worried, the children call Clark, and together they learn that all alien portals have been reactivated and attacked. Authorities are recommending that anyone living within a 50-mile radius evacuate immediately. The frightened kids ask their father where their mother is, but he has no answer. At that moment, the doorbell rings. It's Jamila. She informs them that Anisha and Travante left together and she hasn't seen them since. If humanity were on the brink of extinction from an alien threat, would you put your faith in the military and scientists trying to control the situation, or follow someone like Mitsuki, who seeks a different, more human way to save us? Share your thoughts in the comments down below, give a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos.